Shalom. We're going to start this off by giving honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Yahweh Kakwadash. Double honor, salutations, peace, and blessings to the elect men of Israel, starting with the elder apostles and elder bishops of the Great Millstone Church, on down to the rest of you brothers and the brothers that I labor with, who all push forth the will and doctrine of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, in all faith, truth, and sincerity, according to the true understanding of the scriptures. To all of you, I say Shalom. Just a quick lesson, and it's just something I was just meditating on, and simply I'm gonna just go into stop allowing yourself to be in an I don't know spirit. Stop allowing yourself to not know. And I was meditating on this because that's a spirit that the Lord doesn't want us to be in. You know? That's a spirit that Satan, the devil, Esau, Edom, you know, they want you to be in that spirit. Because you being in that spirit is you know, bringing death upon yourself ultimately. Right? It's through the Lord's word and knowing his word, knowing his spirit, that we bring life upon ourselves. So we aren't to be in a spirit of not knowing. The Lord doesn't want us to be unsure. The Lord doesn't want us to be, you know, not confident, right? He wants us to be confident, not in a plain way, you know, just out of ignorance and pride, but confidence and truth in what is, right? So I just wanted to get a few scriptures, you know, touching on the topic, you know, a little willingness to be edifying, because this is definitely a spirit that can creep up on you without you realizing it, you know, and that spirit of not knowing, or, you know, just always having that be like your default. Right? It's your subconscious response. I don't know. You're like taking on the identity of never knowing. And that's not your true identity. That's not of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. You know? So that's why it's important for us to rebuke that spirit and correct your subconscious. You rebuke that demon off of you, so that way it's not stuck in your subconscious to be the first thing that you respond with. Because typically, if you take a moment to actually sit and meditate, having being given the word, given the Lord's Spirit, you know, and you gonna know. Take a moment to pray to the Lord, ask for knowledge, ask for wisdom. Right, that's the James 1:5. You're putting yourself in position to know. Right, the Lord gonna grant you that if it be sincere, you know. So, first scripture I wanted to grab. This is 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7. It says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind." You see, a sound mind it has assurance, it's confident, it knows. You know, there's no unsurety, there's no doubt, right? To be in a sound mind. And this let me see what that goes into real quick for that word. Sound mind. Real quick. So this is sound mind, right?
Strong's G 4995. Sofranis mas.
And that's interesting because the first half of that word in the Greek pronunciation or transliteration, right, is Sophia, right? Is Sophros Nismas. Sophros Nismas, right? And you have the what you call like the prefix, if you will. Just like I said, the beginning half is Sophia, right? Because Sophia is Greek for wisdom, So it says in the outline of biblical usage, and admonishing or calling to soundness of mind, to moderation and self-control. You see? It says in the Strong's definition, discipline, i.e. self-control, right? Let me see if there's anything else. Equivalent to correction. That's all good. Because to be in control, you got to be confident. You can't be unsure. The Lord wants us to be confident because He wants us to have control of ourselves, right? The only way that you control your flesh is through the Lord's word. It's through having a sound mind, And this is taking on His spirit, not your own, right? In regards to you choosing what the hell you want to take on. No, you take on what the Lord say to take on, right? So, reading it again, for God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind, right? That power is you having the strength through the spirit, adding to that confidence. That of love, right? Love is keeping the commandments, right? If you love me, keep that commandments. For this is love, that you should walk, right? Grab it real quick. Yeah, this is 1 John 5:3. It says, for this is love, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous, right? 2 John 1:6. And this is love, that we walk after His commandments, right? So to keep them, right, is to do as they say, To walk them is to do as they say. Right? If you love the Most, if you say you are of the Most High, you have to be one that walks in the likeness of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? That's is that 1 Peter 2:6, I think. 2 Peter 1:6. What am I thinking of? First John 2:6. Yeah. 1 John 2:6, it says, he that saith he abideth in Him ought himself also so to walk even as He walked. Right? And Yahweh Shai, he came to do the will of His Father, right? To do as his Father has said, and what His Father is pleased in, him following His head, right? And that's what we are to do in likeness. Right, grab the next scripture. This is Psalms 119 and verse 104. It says, through Thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. So through learning the Lord's words, right, which is these precepts, right? The precepts of the Lord, right, which We could do this. Let's get the etymology of that word. So the etymology of precept, right, is commandment or direction given as a rule of action, right? So the precepts would be consistent of the Lord's laws, right? That's why it's important for us to read this book, because not only is the first 5 books, which are considered the laws of Moses, the laws, but the entire book. You know, it says in Baruch 4:1. It says, "This is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endureth forever." You see, all they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. So it's keeping the Lord's words all throughout the Bible, right? Old, Apocrypha, and New, because it's the Lord's word that gives you life. John 6:33, you know, it is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life, right? You keep yourself alive being in a state of knowing, right? Our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, for not knowing. So don't be in a state or a condition to where you constantly dying, which is you not knowing, and you just choosing to I don't know, you know, and you just not caring to know either, right? If you don't care to know, you're in a deady state, because you should care to know, because that's how you keep your life, you know. So we are to follow the words of the Lord of the Lord of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, right? Because through His words is how you get understanding. It's how you put yourself in the position to know. So again, Psalms 119 verse 104 says, "Through Thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way." Right? And the false ways are the ways of this world and trying to do things as this world tries to tell you, thinking the things that's promoted as being fun, or the things that's promoted as living life in this world, right? Those aren't the things that's actually deemed as living life according to the Most High. You know, you got dudes that get money. You got you know what I'm saying, women that go and travel and do all this extra shit, spending all this time and things on vanity, right? Because they're doing it for the wrong reasons, simply, you know, doing it for the wrong purpose, the wrong intent. And if you're doing it for all the wrong reasons, for the wrong intent, that's how you're gonna get yourself got. That's how you're gonna get caught up in something, right? Yet for a little while you might be able to indulge in those things and not have no issues happen, but the Lord he gonna let you get to the point to where you comfortable and lax for something to get you the moment that you least expect it, because you dropped your guard. You chose to no longer consider, no longer, you know, keep yourself in the know and aware, right? Because we're supposed to be aware. We're supposed to understand and know what's going on, what is and what isn't. This is good for me, this is bad for me. What is good for me and what is bad for me, you know? This word is what helps you to understand your purpose, right? Because again, we walk as Yahweh walked, and he was doing the will of the Father, which is His head, right? So us in likeness, we are to do as our head instructs us to do. And a part of that is staying in the know, is being confident and understanding what is and what isn't. Being confident in our head. Having full trust and faith in our head. Because again, that's how life is being brought upon us. It's through him, you know? So, continuing, got another scripture. This is Isaiah 33 and verse 6. It says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. You see? It's the Lord's word, his wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Right? Knowing what this word talks about, know what it consists of, right? Knowing the instruction of how to deal with this or how to deal with that, right? It helps you to understand medicine. It helps you to understand nourishment, right? It helps you to understand how to deal with demons and how to deal with certain spirits and how to keep yourself in a position to where you can ultimately receive your salvation. Keep yourself in position to where the Lord is pleased with you. Keep yourself in a position to not get caught up in something, right? To not get caught up in the woes that are to come, the destruction that's to come, you know, because it's gonna come suddenly. But if you're already prepared and ready, it ain't gonna get you. It ain't gonna touch you. Ultimately, because you continue to stay in position to where the Lord gonna take care of you, right? So it says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. You see? So the Lord's wisdom and his knowledge, right? And being confident in it is what's gonna be the strength that you need to be able to be saved. To keep you in position to be saved. You know? It says, the fear of the Lord is his treasure. Grabbing another one, this is Hebrews 10 and verse 22. It says, let us draw near with a true heart in full assurance of faith. You see? And let's see what that word assurance goes into. Yeah, it says, this is the word for assurance.
Strong's G 4136. Pleirafaria. Pleirafaria.
Pleirafaria, right? Which it says in the outline of biblical usage, full assurance, most certain confidence. You see, so that confidence is what you need to not be, sitting here idle, sitting here confused, and sitting here not knowing and lacking and being in the spirit of doubt to where you go on to destroy yourself. The Lord doesn't want you to doubt yourself. The Lord wants you to know who you are, right? And examples of that is what you see being said in John 4 and 22, right? Because again, like, us Israelites, right? You so-called blacks, Negroes, Latinos, and American Indians, right? The Lord set up Israel to be of like a physical example of righteousness upon the earth. We were set up to be the judges, right? To be an example of what holiness looks like, to be an example of what holy is. Right, according to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, to be of that spirit and be in that spirit, and that's how we are to be. That's how we need to be. It says, "Ye worship, ye know not what." We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. You know? So, we're supposed to be in the spirit of knowing. Right? Yahweh Shah told us in Matthew 13 and 11, it says, he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So we supposed to be in the spirit of knowing. We supposed to be confident, right? And that go for the men and the women. You ain't supposed to be unconfident. You ain't supposed to be negligent or anything like that. So you supposed to stay in a confident state, and that's through the Lord's word. That's through having his wisdom and his understanding, simply put. And that's the point. That's it. So I had a few more scriptures, but, ain't trying to have it be long-winded. Low willingness, was definitely something that could be edifying to, you sincere listeners. So with that, I'm going to give honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kakwadash. Till next time, Shalom.